The following is a presentation of iRacing on PTRTV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast. The Spartan SimRacing Truck Series started last season with a thriller at the Daytona International Speedway. Well, in pseudo style, we take these trucks to a 1.5 miler at Las Vegas. With the progressive banking and the slow speeds of these trucks, it is bound to create some pack racing, and it should be a solid race that kind of reminds us of what we saw last week. Welcome everybody to PTRTV for tonight's coverage of the Spartan SimRacing League with their truck series. Again, race number 2 here at Sin City, Las Vegas. Gonna be myself, Corey Silva, in the booth and in the production truck, and I have Andre Grombush here to help me with all of the calls. So Andre, again, kind of akin to the real world where you go to Daytona and then you go to Atlanta and you start to wind into the normality of the season. I'm going to throw Las Vegas in that same category. We had a plate race and we have what'll likely be a very similar such race tonight.
Yeah, Las Vegas has a relatively smooth surface here on iRacing, and with these trucks having a little bit reduced horsepower from the Cup cars and even the Xfinity cars, it's going to be a lot of on-throttle time on the fresh tires especially, so cars are going to be very close together, and qualifying, I think, might even play out a little bit like plate racing qualifying, where it's going to be more about who can hold the bottom the tightest and, scrub away the least amount of speed while remaining wide open.
Exactly that. And as you can see on the ticker right now, it does say that qualifying is 39 minutes long, but do not be scared because that is not actually the case. We are actually, for the first time, covering this league in the many years on the channel. We will be covering live qualifying. So what will essentially happen is there will be 3 cars staged at a time, and they will be fired off. One car goes, the next car goes about 15, maybe 5-10 seconds later, and the third car goes. So they will kind of finish all within close proximity, and then once all 3 of those drivers pit, we'll rack it up with 3 more drivers to do it again. We have about a 20-car, truck field, and that should give us, the better part of about maybe 10 minutes or so of qualifying. Still waiting for the first truck to stage off here, and this may be very low resolution, but I am very curious as to that driver's pit suit here.
I'm not sure we can show that on TV. It's not prime time yet.
Yeah, it is still only about 8 o'clock Eastern time, or 9 o'clock Eastern time, 8 o'clock if you are in the central region. But while these guys do wait for their qualifying to fire off, we can go over the weather conditions here in Las Vegas. Holy Toledo, we got a hot one here, 78 in the air, and I have yet to figure out the physics of this as to how the track temp gets so inexplicably hotter than the air temp, but 119 degree air temp with a 3:20 virtual time here. So I'm not sure if there is a stagger in between these sim time sessions, but I thought I read this was a night race. But yeah, in sim it is going to be a night race, but we are qualifying in the day. So I think NASCAR actually did that until the drivers yelled at them about how it doesn't really teach you anything or help you out. But either way, that is the conditions at play. And again, we are just kind of playing the stall game here because we are waiting for those first drivers to run their laps here. Just going to pull up the ticker, and again, there's no times up yet. So yeah, we're just waiting for some cars to fire off here.
Yeah, waiting for the engines to fire, find out exactly where these drivers are going to roll off. I think qualifying is going to be pretty important for a handful of these drivers because as this is going to kind of play out like a pseudo super speedway, really there's only going to be two safe places in the entire pack. You're either going to want to be up front in the lead, or you're going to want to be in the very back. Anything in the middle, you're going to be in the action, you're going to be in the danger zone. And so these drivers are going to want to shoot for the pole or potentially just ride it out towards the back for the time being. But either way, it is going to be interesting. You mentioned that qualifying has taken place at a different time of day from the actual race. So at night, the track's going to be cool. It's going to further promote that pack racing wide open that we're going to see early on. And then here in qualifying, if that track temp is to be believed, Corey, I would not be surprised if there is some off throttle time, if these guys have to lift a little bit, because the track is going to be extremely slick at nearly 120 degrees on the track surface. So these drivers are not going to have it easy when it comes to qualifying. They might have a bit of a curveball thrown at them here.
Yeah, most certainly the case. But we'll see what happens as the temperature goes down. And I know the iRacing service does model the subsurface heat. So as the sun is baking down on the surface, once the clouds and the sun goes away, and the heat that is left in the ground will start to dissipate. But we finally get some cars, trucks are rolling here. So we will temporarily cease the music here, and we'll let them start to fire up those engines. Our first vehicle on track right now, that is going to be Randy Bousquet. I think we got the enunciation last week, but I already forgot what it was because it was last week. But I want to say Randy Bousquet.
It was Bousquet.
That's not on the itinerary.
No, and remember what I said about these drivers maybe spinning their tires. Well, there it is, right out of the pit stop. Having to go back to pit road there. But yeah, so his last name, although it looks like it would be pronounced Bousquet, I got it right the first time, didn't get it right the rest of the night. It is, in fact, Bousquet. More cars on track. Tony Polk in the 33, rocking that outside line, building up momentum before he comes up to the line. And the way I was told qualifying was going to work was that we were going to send him off in groups, although most of this looks pretty solitary. Jeff Ottinger in the 76.
Like I said, there's going to be three-car, little three-car, what's the word I'm looking for? Three-car little breakaways, if you will. So one car, they'll basically get fired off about 10-15 seconds apart from each other. That way they're not, getting a draft from one another. But Tony Polk on track right now. I think he is the furthest ahead of the three of them. So he will come off of the corner here and put the first time on the board here tonight. And that will be a 31.926. Randy Bousquet here has yet to complete his lap, but here comes Jeff Ottinger. I don't know if there's any relation to Nick here, and yeah, that is a significantly faster lap there from Ottinger, 3/10 up there. Bousquet, coming off turn number 4 here. He quickly got the backup truck out, and we'll see what he can run here on his qualifying lap. I think they get 2 if I'm not mistaken, and yeah, Bousquet all the way down there with the 32 flap, and it does look as though they will get 2 laps apiece. Here comes Ottinger for his second. We'll see if he can better that. He will to a 31.4. That'll put him up on the pole right now. Polk coming through 3 and 4. Looks like Bousquet may be the next closest one. See what he can get off turn number 4.
Yeah, he's going to be looking for a big improvement here. He's over half a second off, and it looks like his second lap will improve to a 31.7. So definitely found a little bit more time there. Not enough to get Tony Polk or Jeff Ottinger, but we'll have to wait and see where he shakes out as the second pack goes out onto the track. You see the 33 coming back to his stall. All these drivers going to find their way back to pit road, and this other group should fire off momentarily. But I think a 31.4 is a pretty good baseline. Obviously, we've only seen 3 cars get out on track in post time so far, but knowing what I know about this track and these trucks, that is going to be a pretty competitive lap time, I believe. It's going to be close to around that for most of these guys. We see Tony Polk missed out on that by just 0.08 of a second as more cars find their way to the surface. That is going to be the 77 Eddie Spreel, working his way around the outside. And again, Corey, I mentioned how they might kind of follow the plate racing qualifying mentality, using the outside to build up momentum. That is exactly what they're doing. And once they get that momentum, they're back to the bottom of the track. So time to beat 31.409 for Eddie Sproul. We'll see what he can do as he is up to speed, rocking that outside groove, trying to keep it above that sealer. See what he can do down the Nellis straightaway here. 3 and 4, taking a bit of a lower groove here. He was high in 1 and 2, low in 3 and 4. That's a little bit different than what we saw so far tonight. And as he comes out of the corner towards the stripe, I think it's going to be a pretty good lap time. I don't know if it's going to be enough, but it's going to be a 31.606. So competitive, but not quite.
Jackson Stevens in the number 42 truck. He is next to complete a lap right now. I don't see 3 trucks on circuit right now. There should have been, but for some reason there's only 2 on this sequence, so we I guess we'll let them do their thing. Let's see what Jackson can do. This looks like a 32 flat, so he will definitely be looking for a little bit more this time by, and we'll go check on Mr. Spruill there in that number 77, and he goes top of the board with a 31.26. So that gives him a second, rather a 1.5 tenth buffer. Here comes Stevens through 3 and 4. Again, you got to get all that momentum built up lap 1. You got to have all that confidence built up, and really, really tight exits there. I think that's too much. So probably scrubbing off speed, running that tight. Well, what do I know? Because he just goes P2.
Yeah, it's going to be a 31.3, so about a tenth off of pole. I really thought Ottinger's lap was going to be pretty close to the top of the board, but it looks like these guys are finding speed. Could be with the aid of some cloud cover. I noticed 3 and 4 getting a little bit dimmer as a cloud has found the speedway. We all know that on iRacing, track temp makes a huge difference. The 27 machine works his way out. That's Landon Price finding his way to the back straightaway past the blue cone. In that mellow yellow throwback truck, we'll see where he can stack up on the board. I believe he should have some more cars coming out behind him as well, although again it's been a little bit ununiform. There's Charles Abert in the 07 machine and Schroeder in the 74, so we did get 3 this pack. Now Schroeder, of course, part of that Team Watson that was so fast and so dominant back at Daytona. We'll see if they can get a repeat performance here tonight. As Landon Price coming down the back straightaway. This is going to be to complete his first lap once he gets out of 4. Now he's running a little bit higher than our pole sitter Eddie Sproul was in 3 and 4. It's about half a groove up the track from the pole sitter. We'll see what it is.
Makes you wonder if this is a throwaway lap or that's just where the truck was happy there. He's running a 38, so that'll put him 3rd on the board. And again, 1 and 2, the bottom here in 1 and 2 has a lot of bumps, makes it very difficult. Charles Abert, he's going to run a 26.1. That puts him top of the board just by a whisker. R. Scott Schrader coming off of the corner here, and let's see where he falls into line. And that is a 27. We are on top of each other here. Look at those times. They're top of the board, but here comes Landon Price for his lap number 2, cutting that apron there. That is legal, and he runs a 15. Times are falling here at Las Vegas. Look at those corner exits, Andre. I've never seen such an abrupt corner exit, pulling it so tight, but clearly that's where the speed is, because these guys doing it are going to the top of the pylon.
Yes, they are. And again, I think a little bit of cloud cover has helped these guys, but also just getting some heat into the track from the rubber of the tires, maybe giving them a little bit of a benefit here as well. Landon Price with the 31.15. That will be the time to beat, as Schroeder is, I believe, on his second lap
he
here.
just ran his a 0.17, so just nearly off of that pole pace here. And Jason Kratke, another one of those Team Watson trucks, if words may utter out of my mouth. He had a up and down race at Daytona last week, if memory does serve. Yeah, he did finish 7th, but I know he did have some issues, but I think many drivers did in some capacity or another. But he ended up having a 7th place run at Daytona last week. Look at him running that Larson line all the way up against the fence. I think it's more accurate to call that the Bell line these days, because Larson hasn't really been running it as much as of late. But other drivers in this group, we have Evan Ethel and then Rob Yost, all of which will be turning some laps, but I think Jason Kratke is the highest of the bunch, or farthest ahead on the lap, I should say. Coming down the Nellis straightaway as you so dictated it, and he is throwing this one away totally, which that's a good strategy, Andre, but it puts so much pressure on that second lap that you don't have a chance to make a mistake. You don't have anything to fall back on.
No, very limited time to work with, and if you make that mistake, then you're probably not going to come back from it. So he's going to find his position on the board a little bit further back. Here comes Evan Ethel, seeing where he's going to rank among the current qualifiers. It is going to be a 31-7, so currently just above bottom of the board there, almost tied with Randy Bousquet. Rob Yas going to complete his lap time with a 31-7 as well. So we're just stacking up these 31-7 to see where Krotke can
a 20 to 12 P1.
That's right to the pole for that 54 machine. Just barely. Really good lap time out of Yost. As we now follow along with Ethel finishing his second lap here. We'll see if he can improve just a tad, and he does. It's a 31-1 to the top of the board. He goes from the bottom to the top.
Started from the bottom, now he's here, and an 09. So is this track tip? Let's check it. No, it's still the same. So these guys are figuring out who's doing what, and it's clearly working out here with what these times are accumulating here. We'll wait for the next sequence of drivers. I think Blair Holloman, he is on the track right now. He's on the Zuyost team. I don't remember where he was last year, but I can confirm it was not that team. And what's that? The old is it the old Johnny Benson 10 font there? It looks very familiar to me.
Yeah, I believe that is the old Johnny Benson font. Different colors, but similar font. And Blair Holloman, I've seen him run in multiple different leagues. He always takes that font, so seems to be quite a fan of it, and it definitely stands out. You always know that is Holloman when you see that car. Seems on iRacing. But Benjamin Stevens in the 24 coming to complete his first lap. Let's see where he
outlap rather.
I'd say. So now he's going to be on his first timed lap, and Benjamin, don't recall how he did at Daytona, but Blair Holloman, we know, had a lot of good speed at Daytona.
He's 6 for Stevens here. I did actually pull up. We do have a Sim Racers hub this time, Andre, so we have a little bit easier for us to pull those stats. So kudos to the league for making that changeover. Holloman will run an 8, so that was a throwaway lap, so he'll go down to P12, and you can see right from the top lane down to the bottom here, fighting the bumps here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and then getting through 3 and 4, which is a lot smoother, a lot more predictable of a corner. Problem just in lies with not drifting up too much, and again, how hard you pull it off the corner. Do you want to pull it all the way down to the inside? The answer is yes. Again, that's just new to my old brain. I never thought to do that, but let's see what Holloman does in 07. Here he goes top of the board, so we are just exchanging guns here on the top of the pylon here, and I guess with the trend, let's give it to Stevens for the pole. Well, not quite.
Not quite going to get there, but a very respectable time, 31-1-2. So it is pretty impressive. We've got pole sitter Blair Holloman with a 31.07, and then just 0.03 of a second back is Yost. Then 100th of a second back from him is Ethel. Then another 100th of a second back, you got Benjamin Stevens and Jason Krotke, both tied with a 31.12. So lap times very, very tight here. And that's kind of what you expect. We said it was going to be a bit of a plate race, and that's exactly what we're seeing as the 21 machine finds his way out on track. He is going to get up on to the rear straightaway and see what he can do, although it's going to be tight if he wants to get up there. These lap times pretty competitive. So he is going to come down to the start-finish line with a 31.3. That should put him about 11th on the board. Daniel Dow going to be looking for a bit of an improvement here in that 21 machine, because again, you do not want to start in the middle. That's about where he put himself. If you are in the middle of this pack, it is going to be a tough time. Rodney Pitcock in the 0-1 machine coming to the stripe. This could be a halfway decent lap. It's going to be a 31.12, so more than halfway decent.
Yeah, we did miss Kyle Westwood's lap, but he is bottom of the pylon right now, so must have had a throwaway. But Daniel Dow with a 06 goes top of the board. Westwood will be the next one coming off of turn number 4. Let's see where he falls in onto the list. A 13, that'll put him back to 8th. You have these margins, and Pitcock will... He's calling it done. Well, that's first time we've seen that happen thus far, but he will call it done. But either way, he's still at 7, so that is still a very respectable spot. And if you look at positions 1st through 10th, that is literally 10 cars within an actual 10th of a second. So that's about as close as it comes right there. Now here comes our Truck Series. Did he win the championship? I think he won the inaugural championship, Mike Skinner. Of course, it's not the actual Mike Skinner, but it's just going to be the running gag within the series. So Mike Skinner coming on the track right now with Nathan Nixon. He's already well up to speed. He was last week's winner at the Daytona International Speedway, and he will cross the stripe. And then Robert Bissaw, he was another podium driver. I think he was actually 3rd last week. That is actually factual. 3rd place Bissaw on the track as well.
Yeah, so we'll see where he shakes out here, but you're right, he had a lot of good speed at Daytona, which, as we've seen with Blair Holloman and a few of these other drivers, Daytona speed correlates to this track as well. Very similar mentality. So here goes Michael Skinner on his first time lap down the Nellis straightaway. Currently at 16 seconds into the lap time. It is going to be close. As you can see, that truck bouncing around, getting jostled by the bumps on the back straightaway. He is riding that wall, using that pocket of air, taking a bit of a different line than what we have seen previously. A little bit squirrely on corner exit. But as he comes down to the stripe, it is going to be 31.7. So that outside lane, not doing him any favors on the initial timed lap, but I think that may have been intentional, trying to carry more speed down this straightaway for the second lap to be an improvement. But Nathan Nixon in the 38 car, he's coming to complete his first lap time as well. Down, cutting the apron, touching the grass. It's going to be a 31.24, so just barely outside of the, inside the top 10 actually. P8 for him on the board. Here comes Michael Skinner. Let's see, does he improve? Is it 31.04?
Yep, top of the board.
That is going to be top of the board. So when I said he was rocking that top line to build up momentum for the second lap, that is exactly what he was doing, and it worked perfect.
And Nixon redacted his last lap, or something happened to him, and Robert Bissaw did not turn a lap, even though he was on track. So now, I think is Skinner. Yep, he's all set. So now we are waiting for the qualifying to wrap up formally here within the sim, unless somebody else still has to run a lap. But the only time not ran was by Robert Bissaw there. So I don't know if he just retracted his lap. He is out of the session, not quite sure, but now we will just wait for the administrators to flip the grid over and let tonight's action commence. Finally, that was kind of fun calling that qualifying for the first time. I want to thank everyone tuning in here to PTR TV. If it's your first time, do not make it your last here. Hit that like and subscribe button here. We would very much appreciate that. So that is the countdown right there. You can see the admin did click over the session, so now nothing else left to do but to go down, and we'll formally wrap it on up with our PTRTV starting lineup here today from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Starting today's Truck Series race-off from the front row is going to be none other than Mike Skinner himself with that 3104 driving the Toyota. Never mind, we have a warm-up.
So we're going to be getting out of warm-up. I thought it was going to be a bit of a driver's meeting for those drivers, because that is usually how it works. We get the warm-up and the drivers get the talking to while we go over all of that. But, well, going to give them time to get out on track. But again, if the race is a night race, I don't think this warm-up is going to be too much of a help here, Corey.
Yeah, I am looking at the announcements because I did want to make sure I got all my T's crossed, I's dotted, Q's queuified. And it does say the in-sim time is 8 p.m. local time. So if this is not a night race, I am not wrong. So I do want to... Oh, and here we go. We have skipped the warm-up session. So perhaps we can not have that for next week. But either way, let's try that again. We'll restart the music. And now we will actually give you our PTR TV starting lineup. Mike Skinner on the pole with a 3104. Daniel Dow in second. P3 will find Blair Holloman, and then Rob Yost Jr. in fourth. Evan Ethel in fifth, Ben Stevens in sixth, Jason Kratke in seventh, and then Rodney Pitcock in the eighth spot. Ninth is Nathan Nixon, and then 10th finds Kyle Westwood.
Outside of the top 10, you got Landon Price in the 27, right next to Scott Schroeder in the 74. Charles Abert, P13. Eddie Sproul going to be P14. 15th goes to Jackson Stevens. 16th goes to Jeff Ottinger. And if you look back to P17, that's where you're going to find Tony Polk next to Randy Bisquette in 18th position. Running out the rest of the field, shotgun on the pack. It's going to be Robert Besaw Jr. in P19, so just shy of 20 cars. Going to be rocking 100 laps here at Las Vegas as the pace car gets fired up. Race details on the screen. We do have one stage at lap 40. We have a 60% fuel load with 4 sets of tires in the pit. So fuel strategy, as per usual, going to be pretty important here in this league this season. And of course, we have been told that it's fixed setup, although there is a little bit of confusion about that currently. Where neither Corey or I are 100% certain of that, but we're going to say that it is because that's what we were told.
Yeah, we were also told that it was an 8 p.m. sim time. Now, let me check Vegas. Sometimes it has crazy sunsets. We'll recheck the weather conditions. It is not 8 o'clock, so our announcement post either was not fully updated or the session was wrong. But either way, this is a day race. So, again, that will lead to the hot slick conditions, and that may break up a little bit of the drama we were inferring with the pack-style race, because the tires will wear a little bit more. There will be a little bit more slipping and sliding, a little bit of off-throttle time, and that's all a good thing. These drivers want to be in control of their destiny, and I do think the drivers will actually enjoy that, but I could be completely wrong. But either way, thanks for tuning into PTRTV. Sin City is the place. SSRL is the race. We're going to have Mike Skinner in the 51 taking that pole position, and he's going to be the control truck for this initial start. Daniel Dow off in second. Barney has the flag in hand. Let's get a wave it, wave it, wave it. Let's go. We're in the zone, and let's go racing from Las Vegas.
And these cars are going to roar down into turn 1, 2x2 all the way through. It was a great start by the control truck. Michael Skinner getting clear into the lead. He's got Blair Holloman behind, and then from there, it is going to be 2 wide for third place, at least momentarily. That battle dissipating fairly quickly as we come out of turn number 2. Evan Ethel has taken third place for himself as a battle behind him. Daniel Dow, Rob Yost battling for fourth as they go through the corner. It's going to be interesting to see which drivers feel comfortable where on the track, because like you mentioned, Corey, the bottom of turns 1 and 2 and kind of the middle of 3 and 4 have some bumps that'll throw you for a loop. Some drivers can handle it. Some drivers prefer to stay up top. So you're going to see these drivers taking different lines all night long, not necessarily for speed, but for comfort. And that leads to some interesting racing as for the lead, looks like Blair Holloman has a run on the outside. He's going to get the nose on him through 3 and 4. I don't know if he's going to be able to get clear of him by the time they get to the tribal, but he is going to get darn close to it. What a move. Solo lead for Blair Holloman.
Yep, he's going to come off the corner here. I can see just a whisker. Nope, not a whisker indeed. Skinner will fall directly to his arrears there. The 83 of Rob Yost trying to throw his hat into the ring, and Skinner dedicated to the inside of the circuit here, trying to dig down there. And as we know on the iRacing service, we do have the dynamic oval refresh system, all that fun stuff in place, but the rudimentary facts are you do burn more tires on the outer groove, so Holloman may have speed, he may have that extra banking, but I do worry about his longevity the more he does assert himself up in that groove. A little bit further back near 3 line, for a brief moment there, 38 of Nathan Nixon, last week's winner. He's digging hard on the inside as we have kind of pace lap formation. Evan Ethel to the outside. You have Rob Yost to the outside. Just behind that, you have Jason Kratke, the Team Watson car, and then a little bit of a breakaway as we go back to Charles Abert there in that 10th spot.
Yes, a bit of a battle back there for P10, but for the lead, once again, these drivers not giving up. Michael Skinner is going to lead at the line this time, nearly 3 wide per second as Nathan Nixon got down to the apron. He thought he might have saw the door open up a little bit there, but unfortunately didn't quite have the momentum to seal the deal. So now onto the back straightaway. This is where Blair Holloman has been getting such good runs repeatedly here early in the running, but it's not quite going to be enough because a healthy shove from Daniel Dow is going to keep Michael Skinner breathing in the lead here I cannot believe what a shove that was. You don't often see bump drafts at a 1.5-mile circuit, but again, these trucks will race this track a little bit more like a plate race, so not exactly entirely unfamiliar to that concept here at Vegas. You see the 83 car running that high side, keeping that 38 pinch down. Everybody clean and green so far. No huge breakaways, no huge drama. Just everybody shuffling, trying to figure out where they're going to go on track. And it looks like Blair Holloman again down the back straightaway. I don't know what he's doing out of turn 2, Corey, but he is flying.
Yes, he is indeed here. To note, as well as we saw on the opening graphic, that they do have 4 sets of tires in the pits, and we have to extrapolate the fuel load here. We have to use our little mental math abilities with 60%. I am gonna say roughly 35 laps sounds good to my rudimentary brain. I wasn't that far off at Daytona last week, so 35 laps sounds about right to me, maybe closer to 40. So that being said, I'd expect this to be 2, maybe 3 stop race, and we do have 4 sets in the pits, Andre. So if cautions do come out, I don't think it's going to be much of a scare to take that set of Goodyears and put it on. So with that being said, you may be able to push a little harder knowing that you're not really having to preserve the Goodyears here tonight.
Yeah, I would think that having 4 sets behind the wall is going to be a little bit excessive compared to what they're used to. I know that the tire limit has always been a little bit stringent here, so not having to worry about saving the tires quite as much is probably a load off their mind, as they are still going to have to think about fuel with the 60% capacity. So anytime you have one less thing to worry about up on the war box there, and is going to definitely make things easier for you. But Evan Ethel, we go on board of the gyro cam, and you can see exactly what it looks like here in the pack, rocking that high line. And with the gyro cam, seeing the car jostle around, it gives you a better perspective of just what these drivers are dealing with, because iRacing does a good job of simulating weight transfer and the feeling of the car getting thrown around by the track itself, something that a lot of sims I don't think have done quite to this extent. So when you see that truck getting thrown around by the bumps, the driver feels that. He feels it in the wheel, he feels it in the handling. So this track, even though it is pretty much flat out on fresh tires, it's still a handful. Make no mistake, these drivers do not have it easy.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. You may have that for 20 laps. You'll have that sort of almost flat foot feeling, and then you'll start to have to fight the wheel a little bit more, and maybe you could still go flat out, but you're having to fight the wheel a little bit more. Then about probably towards the end of the run, you might be having to crack the throttle. But that those handling characteristics, I do believe they will be exemplified by the fact that we have the limited fuel load, because you have less fuel off the bat on that rear set of tires. So the rear set of tires, the back of the truck is not planted in the ground. It needs that fuel to do so. So that being said, I think the handling change over the run may be more drastic than what you'd see in a standard race. As we may have issues with Jackson Stevens here. I did see some smoke come from his car, but nothing of note. But I do also have a back-end trigger here of something that may have happened to Randy Bousquet. Nope, we're going to retract that. I guess he just didn't take to the grid and started the race from behind. So my trigger was incorrect there, at least from what I am reading it as. But either way, we are starting this race down lap number 12, and Daniel Dow really pushed off before that time. Hunter thought he was going to plow the fence down, and that cost him about 2 truck lengths.
Yeah, cost him, it did, although it could have been a lot worse. I seen that as well. It kind of opened my eyes. I thought it was going to be a bit of a situation breaking out there, but Blair Holloman right now holding on to the lead. Daniel Dow going to get right back to him, down 1/10 of a second, as everybody's going to slipstream down this straightaway. You see just not much of a breakaway from the front of the pack to the back, even still 13 laps into this event, as early leader Michael Skinner has faded back to 5th place, and you can see he is currently doing everything he can to work with Nathan Nixon, maybe find his way around. He looks low, not going to work there, so he looks up high, maybe going to be able to make it work as they round the corner here, now on board with Nixon, looking towards that 83 of Yas. This is how close it is. These trucks, man, the tailgate is so difficult to see past when you are following somebody. So he's going to duck down low, maybe make the maneuver here. Will he pick up the position? I don't know. He's starting to stall out momentum. You see, here comes Michael Skinner to the outside. He may actually get back to him, and he does. So he's going to have to get down on the apron, play it a little bit defensively here. So that was a huge change in momentum. It looked like for a moment he was going to make the pass easily on the 83, but now several truck lengths back as he fights for yet another position. But this right here, Team Watson boys, a little bit further back in the pack. We haven't talked about them a whole lot tonight, and they seem to be battling amongst themselves there, Corey. Some side-by-side action.
Yeah, Schroeder there in the 74, kind of splitting the sandwich there is Rodney Pitcock in that 10th spot, and then just behind that you have Kratky and Westwood. So not sure if it's intentional, maybe to ride back, because sometimes you do see that drivers will, even on a track of this nature, they'll decide, I'm going to ride, I'm going to see what's going to happen, I'm going to evade any wrecks, but I'm going to put a hat in the ring and say, I don't think we're going to have a big one here today. You can see they're already spread out, but here comes the 83 of Yost underneath Daniel Dow here in turn number 3, but looks like the 83 having a hard time keeping it on the bottom. He's going to have to get himself back in line, ideally, without hitting the left rear of the 21. Luckily, was able to do that, but that little slow up did open the door for Skinner to go to the inside here. But now I'm going to wonder what lane is going to persevere. Is the 83 going to use that progressive banking here at Las Vegas and get the run on the outside, or is Skinner going to clear to the bottom? Skinner will clear. And as that is being said, it looks like the 21 of Dow, he's going to put up a challenge to Blair Holloman here.
Yeah, he's been trying lap after lap. He gets good runs, but so far Blair has not cracked under the pressure. He's not given up his line. He's not opened up the door. And he's done a good job of doing just the right amount of mirror driving. You don't want to be looking in the mirror 24/7, because if you do that, you're going to start taking some suboptimal lines. You're going to start overdriving the car, and you're just going to be generally worried about what's going on behind you rather than hitting your marks. But you do have to keep an eye on that mirror if you want to keep everybody at bay. And it looks like Blair Holloman is just kind of keeping an eye on it. And whenever Daniel Dow gets those runs and makes those maneuvers, he's able to kind of cut them short. But speaking of maneuvers, how about Michael Skinner? Just a moment ago, he was all the way back behind the 38 car in 6th place. Now he's going to try to get 2nd place from the 27 of Dow, but it's going to be a crossover maneuver as Dow gets back to the bottom, so they're going to remain side by side. And this is exactly what Blair wants. Is he is leading this race. He wants these drivers to slow themselves down. This is not like Daytona. Look, if one car gets out front here, yeah, the draft might help the pack behind a little bit, but generally you're going to be able to keep the momentum and keep that gap as long as you hit your marks. So Blair Holloman wanting to pull away, and this battling and side drafting is helping him do just that. So it's just one of the ways this track does differ from traditional plate races, although it can be so similar at times. Solo 2nd place for Michael Skinner, finally, after a hard-fought battle. And, you know, maybe Corey running in the back, well, I say the back, maybe running back in 6th place and taking it easy for a few laps, help those tires cool down, give him an opportunity to make a charge.
Now, I'm going to throw another hat in the ring here. Remember, we do have the stage on lap 40, and my super rudimentary mathematics says that we cannot make it to the stage caution within the fuel load, and that's going to be intervened by the fact that my thought came to life here. Yost is going to pit right now, right at the halfway point in the stage. So now I want to pull up another graphic. I want to see the lap time differential between Holloman's best and current, and that's about a 1.1 second fall off already 21 laps into the race. So that being said, it should be a conga line. You don't want to use all that. You don't want to lose that time on track. Well, evidently you do, because nobody else came to the pits. But Yost, he is, yep, he's taking those left sides, the left side jack in the air. Of course, he will go a lap down. But I guess, let's put it this way, does everybody follow suit? Or are they going to use fuel only and save the tires and just splash to get to the end? Let's see, Jason Kratky coming to his attention of his stall. He was just outside of the top 10, or right around that spot. So again, here comes the old famous SSRL pit strategy here to break our brains.
Yeah, so I didn't see the jack stand go up on that 2nd car on pit road, so I think that some of these drivers are just going to take fuel. The 54, his time in and out was 7 seconds, so he definitely took no tires at all, which I think is the smart call. I don't think their lap times have deteriorated that much here at Las Vegas, and when you do the math, okay, we're pitting at about lap 20, then again on 40, then again on 60, then again on 80. That's 4 stops. We got 4 sets of tires, which leaves no set to play with. You don't have an option set should we get a late race caution, whereas we have a guaranteed stage at lap 40. So we're going to have a guaranteed caution. If you can just get there without taking this first set of tires, you leave yourself that option set for later in the race. And I think that's what a lot of these drivers are going to try to do as pit road gets just a little bit more busy. That was the 07 machine, I believe, we saw coming down.
In the pits as well as Jackson Stevens to the attention of his crew. And these guys up front, here comes Skinner the challenge is on the table between him and Holloman. Holloman using that outside lane, again, that extra banking. 18 on the bottom, 19 in the middle, 20 on the top here. One of the first tracks besides Homestead. It was one of the inaugural tracks to take that progressive banking. Skinner getting tight off the corner here. Can really tell that handling element starting to come into play here. You see as the field spreading out very slightly, the mistakes starting to be made at a higher rate, which again, that's drivers coming more into play here, which we like to see. We want to see these drivers racing with their own skill, not so much as a matter of luck. And I think that is indeed what we are seeing here. So somebody exiting the pits. That is Randy Bousquet there. He's last. Ooh. He's tail end of the lead lap. We're hoping for a caution. Here comes Schroeder to the attention of his crew here. So we are still waiting on approximately 13 drivers, so only 6 have come to the pits here. Lap 26, with just about 14 coming to 13 for the stage.
And Las Vegas is one of those tracks that when you come down pit road, you're likely going to go down a lap and maybe even 2, depending on how much service you get. As they are going to go 3 wide for the lead. Blair Holloman going to lose out there off the pace now. Losing positions is the 21 and 51 going to fight for the lead. I think Blair might have just conceded that and said, okay, I'm going to try to get down to pit road, so he just let everybody by so he can get to the bottom. But as we come out of turn 4, let's see who's going to come down pit road. I think I saw that 21 start to slow down. Yes, I did. Nathan Nixon, the 21 of Daniel Dow, of course, Blair Holloman.
Back of the shot there, something happened. I saw a plume of smoke and caution.
And that is going to be a yellow.
Now, where did it come from? I saw someone, R. Scott Schroeder, it appears that my software is triggering me. Well, where in the world was that wreck? Sorry, folks, for the splash screen here. I saw a wreck on my screen, but I can't find it now, which is just really perplexing to me, so... we are on lap number 24. Something happened there to cause that wreck. We're going to go through and go through everybody to try to find who I should be looking for right now, because I saw something right there off of turn number 4. Someone beelined to the fence there right at the back of the shot here. If anybody is in chat, please facilitate us with that information if you do know where that caution came from. Tony Polk has some right front damage, so we will take a stab that perhaps he was at the root of some issue, and confirmed.
So he's going to be rounding the corner, and that was a miscommunication.
Rob Yost, he's the one on fresh tires. He was trying to get all he could get.
So Rob Yost, I just don't think he was expecting anybody to come down pit road. I'm not sure that was called out properly, because it looked like he just started coming down the track and was off pace.
Yeah, we're going to give it a little bit more lead up here. We are on board with that was the driver. That was Polk trying to get the onboard of Yost here. Yeah, now we are on board with him. He is siphoning through this traffic here. That is Polk just ahead. Yeah, that is the old Family Guy I turned now.
Yeah, I got to put that on Polk entirely. I mean, he came from the 4th lane far too late, and then just had absolutely no regard for anybody coming up behind. I can't say I understand that one at all. Generally, when it comes to these types of tracks, you want to be pretty communicative with the rest of the field, and let them know, hey, I'm coming down pit road, this is my plan, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, just to avoid that kind of situation. And that was kind of an unnecessary caution. Now this puts a lot of guys in an interesting situation, because we've still got a stage at lap 40. So it's going to be a bit of a shootout here, and the question is, do you take tires, do you not? Maybe the answer is a little bit more simple than I'm thinking, but I feel like they got a decision to make.
Yeah, trying to get perhaps an onboard, if I can, of try to see what kind of damage that Yost does have right now. I think perhaps this camera will help us out. Oh yeah, he has some pretty legit right front damage to that number 83 car, and track like this, that arrow is going to come into play. I do think that they have a fast repair. They do actually have a fast repair here, so I'm looking at my back-end telemetry. It says 0 out of 1. If it said 0 out of 0, they wouldn't have one. So there is a fast repair here, so that will be good for all of these drivers to have. But while we are going through a caution, well, we have been on air for quite some time, we are going to take a break here, grab ourselves a water, and we'll be back with you for the restart, so stay with us. And we're back here on PTRTV after just a little breather here of sorts, but getting ready for a restart, and this will be with 8 laps to go. Again, leading into our lap number 40 stage caution. Again, that caution by Tony Polk and the 83 did have a little bit of a kerfuffle off of turn number 4. The 83 of Rob Yost still has yet to pit, and again, we are, based on what I was told and what my back-end data says, there is a fast repair available. I think he just did a extended pit stop to try and alleviate some of that damage, but either way, he is seeming to save that for a later time. But we're going to come and start for this next up-and-coming restart here. Give us 7 laps to go. Ethel on the front row. Let's get her to the outside. Green flag back in the air.
And it is going to be Ethel getting to a solo lead, but he's got the eternal chaser, Michael Skinner. I feel like Mike has been in a battle all night long. It's never come easy for him. He's never had a moment where he's able to just breathe. He's always fighting for position. Looks like he is going to get the lead with a power move out of turn 2, but time will tell how long that will last. Oh no! Ethel is going to go around. It's a hard hit for the 21. The 77 also involved. There goes the Team Watson drivers skipping by, somehow able to avoid that carnage, but oh no, big damage for Ethel, and especially the 21 of Dow. Just got a little bit loose on his own there, Corey. You know, as we always say, cold tires are cold, and when he came through this corner, you're going to see that right rear just kick out on him. And
yep, right in the track of the 21, and
in typical iRacing fashion, once that car kicked sideways, there was no lateral grip. It was just gone.
Yeah, and Dow got the worst end of that, but I do think the netcode gods gave him his front bumper back, so at least there's that. And again, cautions breed cautions here. We were on slightly different pit cycles there. Drivers had different tires and fuel loads and all that fun stuff, but now we're going to lead probably into a 2 to 3 lap shootout before this stage will begin. So now I guess we will get the definitive evidence here of if indeed a fast repair is available. It seems to be, and very much needed here by the fact that a right front fender does not exist, and bare bond is not available as a repair tactic here in the simulator. So when he pulls into the stall, we should see a little ping and then magic truck, or so one would imagine anyways. Let's see. Well, first you got to stop in your stall.
Overshoot his stall.
Boom, magic.
There we go. And you know what? It's that pit crew in front of him. You see those guys? It's, you know, they're
did he have the PG-13 pit crew?
I think it was the driver ahead of him. I don't think it was actually his pit crew. But, you know, sometimes the other pit crews help out, especially in the lower series. I believe it, I can't remember what the story was exactly, but I remember a truck race where one of the drivers wrecked out and they were done, and he had a better pit crew than his teammate, so that pit crew just went and started working on his teammate's car instead.
I think one of the more famous examples on the truck series was actually at Eldora for the inaugural dirt race, where Norm Benning's famous "never lift" quote was created, and his truck was decimated after the race after mutilating the wall and getting hit by whoever he was battling. He pulled in the pits, he talked to TV, and then he said he was just flabbergasted because all of the big name guys, just without even him asking, or they just started working on his truck for him because they knew he had no money, he only had volunteers, and they wanted to see him get in the race. So they all just started working on the truck for him. That was one of those feel-good stories. And again, Norm Benning never lift.
Yeah, Norm Benning, you gotta love him. He's just one of those guys that he races for the love of it and works with what he has, and that's quintessential racing. I think you tend to forget that, especially in NASCAR these days, where it's not so much about doing it for the love of it, and more of it, you know, being a lot of people with money.
He made some pretty bold statements too. He said that if I got to be in a money truck, he thinks he could actually compete. He thinks, he genuinely believes he has the talent to do it. He just never had the money. But
I think there's a lot of guys that, you know, if they had ever had the opportunity, if they'd ever had a good car, it would have shown. And, you know, even in the Cup Series, you see that with drivers that have been around forever. Look at AJ Allmendinger. You know, the opportunities that he's had with a car that's not even a top-tier car. Yeah, Michael McDowell, he outdrove Chase Elliott. I mean, flat out outdrove him in that 34 car. Because it was a track that relied on skill and not equipment. So some of these drivers, man, you forget how much talent they have. But, you know, going to your point about Michael McDowell, the man's a Trans Am champion. You don't become a Trans Am champion without any talent. So it is so much a money game sometimes, and it's unfortunate. But that's one of the things about, you know, sim racing that I guess is a benefit, is it's not so much about the money or the equipment. It's more just, you know, everybody has the same truck. Everybody's got the same equipment, same opportunities, and you know, see where we stack up.
There's probably a guy in this race who has a super expensive sim cockpit, and I guarantee there's a guy in this race that has a Logitech G27 from 2009 that's probably running faster than him. So it's about learning what you can. It's about taking advantage of what you have and learning the limitations and learning how to push the envelope. Still things that I haven't managed to do, but always trying. But we'll try again here for effectively a green-white checker of sorts. Actually, I think it's going to be a green-white checker +1 here, so it's going to be a 3-lap shootout to the stage. So this race, we've already had more cautions tonight than at Daytona, which, if you told me that, I would laugh at you, but that is actually the case. We've had more cautions today than we had at Daytona. They're struggling. Again, with this track temp in excess of 115 degrees, and I think it's really starting to take a toll on these guys because they feel like the grip is there. They feel like they can put their trucks in those positions with the draft, but then all of a sudden the handling just says, ha ha ha, you wait and see what you're going to have to deal with in the center of this corner, and it puts them in those positions. But let's see what happens here. Skinner to the inside, Stevens to the outside, high as he's been here on the evening. Nathan and Holloman row number 2, and let's get ready for the restart.
Down into the Geico restart zone. Barney's got the green flag in hand. It will be Michael Skinner leading us to that green flag. And a good jump on the low line is going to bring Nathan Nixon in tow as the top line fades just a little bit. And the top 2 are going to slide up in front of those drivers, make it single file all the way. Blair Holloman 4th in line behind Benjamin Stevens. Now Blair leading laps early on in this race. We know he's got a good truck, just waiting for the right opportunity here as we get closer and closer to that stage at lap 40. Looks like Nathan Nixon, though, getting a good run. He's going to get down to that white line, let the truck arc out, carrying some good momentum. Not sure if it's going to be enough, but don't look now. Here comes Team Boxx, and they have been inching their way up the field, Corey. Every time we've checked on them, the first time we looked, they were way in the back of the field. Next time we looked, they were in the middle of the field. Now they're getting pretty close to this battle for the lead, so they seem to be finding something here at Las Vegas, little by little. For third place, there goes the number 10, and I'll tell you what, I don't think anybody has turn 2 figured out like Blair Holman, because every time he makes a move, Corey, it's always out of turn 2, and I'm not seeing anybody else do that. I mean, it's really just Blair. He is flying around that part of the track.
There's the white flag, as I prematurely pressed the button there, but the white flag in the air for the stage. This is lap 40. We need to complete lap 40 to get ourselves a stage. Blair Holloman, who's led the most laps here in the opening segment, down to the inside of Nixon. I don't know if there's enough momentum. There is not, but he's going to try it anyways. He's going to put himself in there. Nixon's going to give himself the run using that seam there with that progressive banking. They may have a drag race to the checkers here, but it's going to be irrelevant for the stage win, which will go to Skinner, and can't tell you who got it for second. Looks as though it was Nixon by a whisker.
So he is going to get himself a stage win, just barely. And Mike Skinner going to have to concede that he wound up a little bit short there as Blair Holman winds up third. Benjamin Stevens, Jason Krotke, Daniel Dow. Oh my goodness, here comes the pace car. That was Formula pace car, apparently. I mean, he took off like a rocket ship. I don't know where he found that horsepower nor that grip. But my goodness, we're going to take a look at a PTRTV replay of the pace car, I believe. Here he comes, zooming through the field. No regard for human life, Corey.
Yeah, that was certainly a thing here. But back to live footage, and everyone coming to the attention of their stalls here. Some of these guys have already taken tires on the last caution. So what happens on this stage caution? Well, that may be of interest here to try and sort out. So we'll see how many jack stands go up. The tires are on the wall, but it'll be interesting to see who wants to make those track position plays here. And Skinner, I thought he was going to overshoot the box there, but manages to get it going. Skinner is going to do fuel only there. Super short pit stop for him. Everybody else coming and getting their service complete. So yeah, that will be our pit stop cycle. About a 5-second stop for Michael Skinner there, and then Tony Polk stays on the track. Remember, he was in that first caution. He did use his fast repair, but back on circuit.
Yeah, so he's going to get back on track. He's going to be at a pretty big loss for time here at the very least, but who knows if some of the other drivers have some issues. If there's a lot of attrition, he can still salvage some points, which is, I'm sure, what he's thinking by getting back out on track. There is Michael Skinner.
I'm going to grab him in here for a little quick word if we can. Michael Skinner, PTR boys in the booth. You got a copy?
I do. How's it going?
Well, first of all, how many times do they call you Mike Skinner as it relating to the real life? Because we've already done it about 10 times.
At least once every official race.
Okay, just want to make sure. But either way, you got the stage win there, and it seems as though, I thought this was supposed to be a night race, but now it's a day race. This track is completely slick. How much is this pack racing versus handling racing out there? It seems like a pretty good mix.
Yeah, I do believe someone's made a snafu there making it a day race, because it's definitely supposed to be a night race. So it's definitely a lot different, a lot more slick compared to just being basically like another Atlanta with these trucks. Like, you're flat out for 20 laps, then you kind of handle it. But with the track temp being 120 the way it is right now, it's definitely a lot more handling than just raw speed is needed.
So do you have the confidence? Obviously, you kind of know that Blair has shown some big speed up there. Dow, he was fast, but he got some damage. So are you comfortable with the strategy calls you got in the bank to both race your way up there and make sure you keep the strategy up there as well?
I sure hope so, because we definitely got a fast piece. So as long as we keep the strategy right and keep all 4 fenders on it, we should be in a pretty good shot right here.
All right, man. Well, we'll let you get back at it. Good luck for the second half.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Sue.
All right, so he hears it once a race. So if we say it like 3 times a race, that's a pretty decent mix, because this is about double an official race. So I think we can get away with that. They are doubling up here early, which is of interest, but should get one to go here, I would imagine. As a little race summary of sorts, we do have 2 trucks off of the lead lap. Those would be Randy Bousquet, who's kind of started this entire race from behind in the, as I call it, the SSRL billboard truck. And also off of the lead lap is Jackson Stevens. They are both, neither of them has used a fast repair, so if they do have damage, that is in their back pocket. But either way, back to 1 to green. And just as a kind of a reminder of sorts, Tony Polk is 14 laps into his stint. So with that being said, everybody else on no, I'm going to take that back again, actually. The top 7 on their last stop were fuel only. So the first person on tires is Nathan Nixon in the 8th spot, for whatever that may mean.
Well, it could mean quite a bit. It's not to say that tires are as important here as they might be at some other tracks we go to in the future, but they're still important, and they will affect your maneuverability and the amount of grip that you have to work with when you take your truck out of the preferred line to try to make moves. So every little bit counts, and I could definitely see him picking up some position here. Although I think if I'm looking at this realistically, the drivers who are conserving tires and not taking sets at every turn, they're probably playing it right for the big picture, because they'll have sets later on. You know, they may lose some time now, but they'll have those tires to play with later should we get cautions, which I'm going to predict that we probably will. Through the Geico restart zone, it is going to be number 51 and the 33 of Tony Polk. Tony Polk not quite getting the jump that he would have liked to get there. Maybe a little bit of wheel spin down on that bottom groove as they all stack up. And that's going to hand it to Michael Skinner quite quickly there. Solo lead for him. And around the outside, here comes the 74. We're going to go pretty wide. Momentarily contact. Tony Polk, the driver without eyes. That is the second time tonight that he has just got across somebody.
Speaking of without eyes, Barney, the flagman, he's going to let him go.
Yeah, we're not getting yellows. We're not getting yellows yet. I'm confused.
Well, they didn't break the 45-degree rule, which is basically what has to constitute to get a caution flag. Now, this is the replay on board with Schrader here. He had the real estate. I mean, he was right rear there for an ample amount of time, so I don't want to completely roast drivers. That's not my goal. But a little bit perplexed, so we'll just kind of leave it at that here. But back to live action. What is afoot on circuit right here? Ben Stevens to the outside in the liquid metal, liquid death, whatever that funky drink is. He is getting passed by Nathan Nixon, last week's winners. Nixon will set his sights on Kyle Westwood in that number 47, the highest running Watson car here on the evening. Rodney Pitcock has got himself into the top 5, highest at 01 has been on the evening. Mellow Yellow Landon Price down in 6th, and then rounding out our present top 10, Charles Aber in the 07, Jeff Ottinger in the 76. Quiet run there for Jason Kratke down in 9th spot, and Blair Holloman, our primary lap leader here on the evening, of which leading 22. He is matching his truck number in the 10th spot.
Yeah, he is going to have some time to make up here as we got some IndyCar weaving down this straightaway. The 47 of Kyle Westwood was looking to make a move for the lead, and Michael Skinner said, not today, not yet at least. Dove down the straightaway to block that run, and that actually opened the door for Nathan Nixon, who, by the way, first driver on fresh tires. He's already passed quite a few drivers, and now he's going to potentially make a bid for the lead. He does take second place. As we go through 1 and 2, I expect him to carry some good speed out of the corner, although he does slide up, opening the door for Westwood to get back down underneath. But we'll see what the momentum is like down near the corner. The 51 weaving back and forth. He's pulling a Brad Keselowski. He's trying to block 2 lanes of traffic. So far, he's doing it successfully. But Westwood sliding up a little bit, but able to gather it up.
Yes, he is. And I do have a back-end announcement. Robert Bassad Jr., remember we talked about him in qualifying, not actually taking to the grid. Well, Well, take that thought back. A little bit of contact from the 47 to the 51. The netcode gods let him get away with that. That would have scared both of them immensely, I am sure. Mainly Skinner, who got the left rear contact, but that will fall back into line here as 47 will battle with Nixon. He is getting tight there through the center of the corner. Nixon will wrap around the outside with that momentum, but my statement, Robert Bassaw, he didn't make a qualifying time, and there is electricity issues with storms in his area, so I'm not sure what we'd call the real-life equivalent of that, but his power there not reliable enough. He did not want to take to tonight's action, so unfortunate for him, but Nathan Nixon, he is all over the back bumper. Now he's looking to the outside lane. I don't think we've seen a pass there. Maybe he's setting up for a high-low move. That's exactly what he's doing. He's going to try to get the run off the corner and maybe take it to the inside or even take it to the outside here at the stripe. Let's see if he can make something happen on the outside in one.
And Michael Skinner is doing everything he can. He is desperately clawing to this lead, trying to hold on to it. But he's got some hungry drivers behind him. You can see an aggressive block there, sliding up in front of the 38. That has been the name of his game so far, but he cannot block this run. 38's going to get down low. That might be all she wrote. He's got the fresher tires. He shouldn't have to scuff too much speed down low. And this is going to allow him to lead at least at the line. Now Skinner taking the higher line through the corner will have a little bit of momentum on his side going down into turn one. I'm not sure it's going to be enough. Here comes Kyle Westwood as well, a little bit further back, trying to regain some of the momentum
off
that
the apron
lost.
there, and that cost him some
And it was
time.
a bobble. That's going to give it back to the 51, at least for the straightaway. He's going to have to do a little bit of side drafting, see if he can't get back to him here through 3 and 4, but you're exactly right, Corey. He bounced off that apron. You do not want to do that here. It's not very forgiving. Even if you do have the fresher tires, it's going to take your momentum. So this battle continuing on as they cross the stripe for 54.
And you'd think Westwood may be able to take advantage and get right to the back decklet of one of those vehicles, but not able to do so. Again, in this hot, slick conditions here at Las Vegas, you can kind of see on this long shot here that everyone is spaced out. Again, even the drivers, not just us broadcasters confused, even the drivers were like, hey, why aren't the lights on? It was supposed to be colder than this, but we're presented with a driver's track here, and I think they like it, even if it's a different style of racing than they were forecasting. But Nathan Nixon trying his hardest to clear, but Skinner is just using that progressive banking, driving it in deeper, just keeping it close enough that he can keep that whisker on corner exit. He's going to drive down the hill, pinch the right rear of Nixon there. That'll bog his momentum down, maybe a little bit of side draft. That pulls them door to door down the back straightaway. Now Skinner actually has a little bit of an advantage here. And now he's going to go all the way up into the unused third line. I don't know if that is going to be too much to overcome. He's going to use the crossover and get him down the front straightaway.
He's going to try to get him down the front straightaway. I don't know if he's quite going to get there fully. I think they're still side by side. We'll see what he can do on the low side. Now, every lap that goes by, that advantage that Nixon had with those fresher tires is going to start to degrade because, of course, those tires will age and eventually equalize with everybody else's, which may be what we're seeing here as Landon Price has caught this battle. Player 3 has entered the game, and he is hungry for the lead. A battle for fourth behind him as well. Kyle Westwood, Benjamin Stevens going side by side, but we're right on board with this 42 machine. Or, I'm sorry, not the 42, the number 27. I saw the mellow yellow, and my brain just defaulted there, but Landon Price in the 27, as he watches this battle, you can see he's just kind of going back and forth between lanes, up high, down low, trying to figure out which driver is going so he can go with them. Now he's going to pull up to the passenger side door of the 38 and maybe thinking about a little bit of 3 wide for the leader. Let's see where it takes him out of turn 4 if he can get to him. I think he's going to get to the bumper at least. So what a battle this is. Great driving by Michael Skinner to hold on despite the fresh tire advantage Nixon has. But man, oh man, these drivers, I don't know how long they can keep this up.
Man, oh man. Every time you say that, I just think of BP back from NASCAR 1999 on the old PS1. But he comes down the back straightaway, and you're starting to see that third lane coming into play here. Now, that's a multitude of things, the handling going away, but also the track temp. I do think that has a little bit to do with the iRacing oval refresh dynamic track system. Everyone's running those bottom 2 lanes. Nobody is running the top, so a little bit more grip on offer when you have a track temp that is, well, let's just get the exact here. It wasn't 119. It's actually gone up. So wherever you can find cooler track, you're going to want to. So that third lane unused, well, I think Mike Skinner has learned a little bit of the secret sauce and try to chase that cooler racetrack, get a little bit more grip, and even if it means rim riding.
Yeah, he's going to have to look for something. Again, the tires that he's got are a little bit worn, and when you're on worn tires, you are going to want to migrate up the track. The bottom is going to get harder to hold. Your car is going to get a little bit tighter and start to drift up naturally towards that wall. So it's better just to take the wider turning radius around that outside, just for the comfortability of it. That's a word I just made up.
Is that from Rugrats?
Comfortability? I mean, it could be. I don't know.
You know, Tommy Pickles used to say responsibilities. I don't know, but
comfortability.
Yeah, there you go.
It's syllables. They're hard.
But yeah, they are starting to spread out. Yeah, this top three, they're in their own little bubble, and Ben Stevens has dropped to 4th. Pitcock to 5th. Krapke in 6th. Kyle Westwood, he was just in 3rd. Don't know what happened to him, but he has fallen back all the way to the 7th spot here. Then we kind of have 2-3 car little mini packs all throughout. There is Abert, there's Dow using that fast repair, getting that backup truck out. Jeff Ottinger rounding out our top 10. Blair Holloman has not worked his way up at all. Maybe this is akin to just how even everybody really is, or maybe he's not liking this elevated track temp. Yost back in the 12th spot. Remember, he was involved in that wreck, but he has still not used his fast repair, so I don't know if there's any residual damage there. Spruill in 13th. Schroeder back to 14th. Again, he was involved in one of those wrecks. Then we have Evan Etzel. He was up front for a short period of time. Tony Polk, who has been involved in those two incidents here on the evening. And then Jackson Stevens, and then Randy Busquets there. Busquets. Probably take me all season to get that right. But either way, that is our through the field here. Then back to the front. Second verse, same as the first. I could never say it right. But Skinner's fighting on that outside. Nixon fighting on that inside.
Yeah, these drivers, every time it looks like they're going to get a run and it looks like a surefire thing, it just seems to stall out. Nobody able to quite move where they want to move as Michael Skinner continues to cling on to the lead. Nathan Nixon fighting so hard to take it from him, and then Landon Price not far in tow, although behind him we have had a little bit of a change. Benjamin Stevens, Rodney Pitcock have closed in considerably from the last time we checked in, and I think you give them much more time. They will be here, be a part of this battle. You can see Nathan Nixon now firmly within the draft. Pit road getting busy, which is to be expected. We are at lap 64, so this will be the second to last stop for most of these drivers.
22 laps into our current stint now, so theoretically we could probably go 13 to 16 more, and I think if we can get to lap 70, probably lap 70, I'd say that would probably be a good final pit stop of the race, barring another caution flag. But Nixon again using that inside, and really surprised that he has managed to not burn up those tires. I know they're a little bit newer, but he hasn't burnt them up, and he's going to try and get the run. But again, the run from the top formulates from center off, and then you just have all of that speed down the front straightaway, and then every time that outside will clear. Well, now we've brought Brandon Price, words, English names. He is in the mix now, but Benjamin Stevens in the 24, this is the first life he's shown up here. He's in the mix of this. He could make something happen here. He's looking to the outside of Price.
And again, he's brought Rodney Pitcock in tow as well. He's found his way to this little loop. You can see him at the tail end in that blue car.
Oh, here we go. Pit stop.
Down pit
27.
Road, 27. So that is going to be the first of the leaders to duck down, but I'd have to imagine the rest of the leaders will follow shortly. They can't go that far on a tank of gas.
So we're 25 laps in, Andre. I think 35 is probably a low estimate. So I think there's at least another 10 laps in, but right now it's, all right, you're going to take those tires. You're going to run those faster laps, approximately a second and a half faster than everybody else. But you're going to run out of tires at the end. You're going to start slipping and sliding. So the later you pit, the longer you have fresher tires to the very end. But you're going to have to overcome a lot of distance on track. So this is that ever-calculated pit decision that these guys have to make. But you're trying to make a pit decision while you're in a constant battle for the lead.
Yeah, it doesn't really give you a whole lot of time to think of things through, that's for sure. So hopefully some of these guys have actual crew chiefs up on the box, maybe making some calls for them. And if they don't, hopefully they're thinking quick on their feet, because there is a lot to consider here as the battle for the lead continues. They're going to go around one more time. This quick race recap, there is 33 to go. We've had 3 cautions for 10 laps. We've had 5 different leaders with 12 lead changes, so it's been quite an eventful 70 laps or so here at Las Vegas. As the 38 bobbles again, Corey, he clipped that apron. Not the first time he's done that tonight, and that is going to give up the battle for the time being, as Rodney Pitcock and Benjamin Stevens have pulled up to his bumper. Let's see this time by, does anybody give? Does anybody come down pit road? Doesn't look like it. Nobody's slowing down, so they're going around again to lap 70. Stretching the fuel mileage on these things, as Benjamin Stevens going to pull up even closer with the help of the slipstream. All 3 of these drivers a couple truck lengths behind our current leader, Michael Skinner. See that 0-1 rocking a slightly higher line. Everybody else trying to stick to that bottom, maybe get themselves ready to come down pit road whenever they need to. But down the back straightaway, let's see again. If they don't pit this time, I'm going to be quite surprised. The 38's coming down pit road, but everybody else staying on track.
Yeah, they are. I'm not even worried about the fuel mileage at this point. I'm worried about how much time they're going to be giving up to Landon Price. Landon Price, who is on track right now, and he's actually not pushing it as much as I would have thought. He's on 4 fresh Goodyears. You can see his best lap is a 31 flat, and he's only 3 laps in his run, and he's only running a 31.6. So I think he is erring on the conservative side here, not trying to use all of his stuff yet. But it looks like Skinner, he is slow and pulling to the inside lane. And something we have not spoken of is this is one of the more difficult pit entries here, and a little bobble and a little puff of smoke. Hopefully he got himself in. Somebody towards the back of the shot there also coming into the attention of their crew. So pit road, as you said, becoming a busier place. Nixon exiting the pits. We didn't catch his pit stop, but we can catch him merging. And let's get a reference right now. Nathan Nixon here is exiting turn number 2. And Landon Price is right here. So that is actually very surprising to me. I would have thought that Price would have had a 3-4 second lead. This is actually going to work out very negatively for him, because he's going to have older tires, and he only has about a 1 second buffer.
Well, the old tires aren't necessarily a death sentence. We saw earlier in the race, we had our race leader in that 51 machine battling for position with Nathan Nixon. He had older tires, and even though those tires were older, he was a little bit off pace, just driving a little bit defensively. He was able to keep the lead. And
no, save it.
Oh boy, a little bit loose there. The 21 getting a little bit squirrely. That is Daniel Dow. He's had his share of issues tonight, involved in an incident earlier, I believe, and now trying to get on a bit of a recovery tour here. But see the jack stand go up on the 77 as well. Here comes one of the Team Watson machines. That's Westwood emerging back onto track. So I think at this point, most everybody has come down pit road safe for Blair Holloman, so he'll be the last domino to fall. Well, it's saying Daniel Dow and Rob Yost have not pitted, but I believe they have. Yes, they're on pit road.
Yep, so of everybody left, it is just Blair Holloman, and he will complete that cycle with a pit stop right here. And not sure how well Blair is going to feel about this race, Andre, because he was up front, started on the outside front row, I do believe, and led 22 laps. But after that little that caution kind of, sequence we went through before the stage, he fell back, and he's really been a nobody ever since then. So I'm not too sure how he's going to feel about letting this race go, unless magic does come into play here within the last 25 laps. But this is our lead battle now. Nixon to the outside, has the fresher tires and has the preferred line. Nixon has that lead. Now Skinner, who was on the defense for the last entire stint, now he's going to have to play the offense here, as I do see some smoke, but it is of minimal significance.
I think that might have been the 33 getting in the wall ahead of our leaders there. I saw the white truck off in the distance, and I think that's what it was. So not going to affect our leaders at all as they continue to work their way towards the start-finish line. And this is interesting. Like you said, Corey, Michael Skinner's been on defense mode for most of the night, and now he's got to run down these drivers and try to get around them on pace alone. So we're going to do a little bit of role reversal here, see what he can do from third place. A little bit further back, here's the drivers who had caught this lead pack prior to the sequence. Now they've lost a little bit of time through all of the pitting chaos. The 0-1 machine, as well as another driver here, the 24, Benjamin Stevens. These drivers, I don't know where they lost this time, Corey, because they were right with the leaders. They pitted around about the same time. Somehow these two drivers have lost 2 seconds.
And I'm looking at the back-end telemetry, and it is not due to a huge variance in their pit stop time. So one thing it does not track, we have our pit stop delta time from cone to cone, included the stop, but that does not include how good you got off the banking, how well you slowed down to speed. And it does not include how fast you ran the apron in 1 and 2, getting up to speed. All of that is on the driver. So the guys that are good at getting down to speed as well as getting up to speed, that difference could very well have amounted to those 2 seconds or so.
Oh, it absolutely could. Depending on how early you're going to get out of the throttle to get down to pit road, you could lose or gain quite a bit of time. And this apron is pretty tough. When you're on pit exit, you're trying to get that truck up to speed. It's very easy to get yourself turned sideways. We saw it in qualifying. We had, I can't remember who it was in qualifying, but somebody got themselves turned sideways before they even hit the track, which is an easy mistake to make. You got cold tires, you got a bumpy surface.
Mr. Bousquet, if I'm not mistaken.
It may have been the 75. Look, you're right. So, he's just kind of showing how tough it can be to get that pit exit delta in your favor if you're trying to push the truck just a little bit too hard. So that could be where they lost the time. They are gaining a little bit now. It was 2.4 seconds. Now it's about 1.8 for Benjamin Stevens. So slowly but surely, they are working together, doing a little bit of tandem drafting. What is this, 2012? As they close in just a little bit. You can see the lap times there. Pretty good for Stevens, 31.6, compared to our leaders running 31.8s and 9s.
Yeah, about a 0.3 difference there. Just do the mental math, and with the slipstream here at Las Vegas, you will get the benefit of that at a certain point. Now you can see here, this is the live tracker with the battle tracker, so it looks like a little bit of a wiggle from Price there, but the live gap about 0.7 of a second down to 0.6. This is between 4th and 3rd, but now Price falling back, so now it's not just going to be a catching Price and being right at the lead. You're going to have to catch Price, but now you're going to have to catch Skinner and Nixon, because they pulled away by about 0.7 from Price.
Yeah, Price losing a little bit of time here, which is interesting because he came on strong. Whoa. Oh, no. He's loose. That's going to cause a bottleneck. The 24 right on the bumper, unable to get out of line. And that is all the time they just gained gone. They just scuffed so much time getting stuck behind that 27. I think he just had to get out of the throttle, felt that truck getting away from him. And that is disastrous. It's only 19 to go, so they needed every single 10th of a second they could get when it came to getting up to our leaders. Now the 27 is going to go down low. He's still off pace, Corey. I don't know what is wrong with that 27 truck. Something ain't right.
Remember, he pitted earlier, so maybe he overused those tires. Maybe I think those tires are big mad, or maybe he hit the wall and damaged something when we weren't looking, but he's coming to the attention of his crew. I think maybe he's just pulling the safety card at this point, saying, I would rather pit and finish 2 laps down than have a wrecked truck. So that's what my guess is, but either way, that will be the end of his any sort of a good finish here today. We have Blair Holloman in close proximity to Evan Ethel. Again, Blair Holloman he fell off a proverbial cliff here. Second half of the race, he was right up there. He was leading laps. He was competitive, and then something happened to cause him to fall back and lost comfort in the truck or whatever it may be. But Pitcock and Stevens now 1.7 seconds back. Last time by, only a 10th faster that they were. But it looks like the leaders are undergoing some traffic here. They got by Polk. That may have slowed them up by a 10th or 2, but nothing of massive significance here. But look at Skinner going to the bottom. Roll reversal. Skinner was on the top. Nixon on the bottom. Roll reversal here off of 4.
Yeah, for a minute there, I thought that 51 might get a little bit tight. You saw the front end start to wash out, but he gathered it back up. And now he's going to have to regroup, try to take this lead some other way in a different corner. The 38 doing a great job holding that low line. The 51's going to follow him through the turn. You can see the cars behind trying to gain a little bit as these two battle. 1.3 seconds now the gap. So Benjamin Stevens, Rodney Pitcock, despite the issues they had earlier, still consistently lapping a little bit faster. Question is, do they have time? It'll be 15 to go at the stripe. Now, if the 51 can get back to the 38, start battling side by side, a little bit of side drafting, that'll be a huge benefit to the drivers behind, and not just Rodney Pitcock, Daniel Dow, but also Kyle Westwood. A little bit further back there, you can see him in frame as well. So this battle could really heat up here at the very end of this race. I think it's going to take him a while to get there, but I'm going to make a prediction, Corey. I think Stevens will get to Skinner, and this is going to be a multi-car battle for the lead.
Oh, I thought we saw a whisker of a battle for the lead, but as you can see on the telemetry, Stevens is hovering at about 1 second. So now he is getting a whiff of the back bumper of Skinner. So down these straightaways, that will help. And he does have, I'm trying to look at the tire situation, 1 lap pressure tires, does the 24 and the 01, which is of minimal significance, but it is something. But either way, here comes Skinner back to the bottom. Very surprising to me, Andre. We saw him rim riding all the way on the fence. Nixon not doing so. So if Skinner really wanted to, he could really force the higher lane and just go all the way to the top, but seeming to just try to be stuck to the bottom.
He could try to force it. I'm not sure if he'd be able to get the move completed. And look at this. Benjamin Stevens, Rodney Pitcock, they are here, and they are impatient. 3 wide for the lead momentarily as the 24 ducked down low. That got the 51 way out of the groove, and it's going to be a big checkup here. Where does the 24 go? Does he follow him? Does he try to shoot the middle? He is going to shoot the middle. Yep. 3 wide for the lead.
Engage turkey mode, meat in the sandwich for the number 24 of Ben Stevens there. He's going to get by Nixon, and now here comes Skinner. Skinner needs to get to the top of the track immediately, but he did not do so. He's going to leave the preferred lane open here with the newer tires to the outside is Ben Stevens, him in the 01, but Pitcock says, I got you here, but I'm throwing my hat into the ring as well. Pitcock, I thought he was going to try to go shoot the middle, and he still very well may, but here comes the sole possession of the lead to Ben Stevens with 11 laps to go.
And not only did he take the lead, but he immediately pulled away by about 0.2 of a second. Behind him, the battle for second continues. Rodney Pitcock, Michael Skinner side by side. The high line going to Pitcock, and I think he is going to take second place all by him. Lonesome there. 51 slots in line. Now it's going to be single file top 3, but for 4th place, this is side by side. Daniel Dow, Nathan Nixon. They are trying to sort out who's going to take that position. And for the lead, 2 drivers who ran down the best of the best, who ran down the drivers who have led the most laps tonight from 2 seconds back. Well, now they're going to go at it themselves. It was teamwork, and now, well, I think that temporary allyship has gone out the window as they're going to be battling for the lead. Every man for himself, 10 to go.
Yeah, exactly that. You got to go full send. You got to worry about yourself here at this juncture in the race. You did all the work to get there, but at the end of the day, it's all about you and your individual team efforts towards the end of the event. But I do have to wonder how much is in the bank, how much is left, because I'm still floored they got there in the first place there. Nixon really seems to be falling back even more than Skinner is. So Nixon, man, he was running the bottom, so I really would have thought he would have been fine. Actually, no, he was running the top, wasn't he, for a while? So maybe that's what it was, but he went from what I thought was a winning pace down to all the way back here in that 4th spot. But we know how difficult passing is later in these runs. Pitcock is going to do what he can, but I know that 24, actually we don't know the 24, Andre. We haven't followed him really today, so we really don't know what he's made of here in these situations.
No, he was up front early in this race. He was within the top 5, and we saw him do pretty well in and amongst the lap leaders, but he kind of fell off midway through the race, kind of dropped back a little ways, and we didn't really see much of him. And it was only later on in this event that he has come back strong the way that he has. So I don't doubt that he's got a really good truck. The fact that he was able to run these guys down from 2 seconds definitely proves it. But I'll tell you what, it is going to be a tall order, because it seems like every time somebody takes the lead, it is an immediate fight. It's a revolving door. You take the lead, somebody else is right at your quarter panel trying to take it back from you. Nobody's able to just get out to the lead and just drive away with it. We've not seen that so far tonight. And Benjamin is trying to do just that, although I'm not sure how much success he is going to see. He's got Rodney Pitcock behind him. We know that truck is just about as quick as his own. And then Michael Skinner, who's led so many laps tonight and, of course, got the stage win, fierce competition behind with 6 to go. It's not going to be an easy drive for Benjamin Stevens. 42 laps led specifically for Michael Skinner out of the number that we have ran. So that is definitely the most out of anybody so far tonight. And if this was, the olden days of NASCAR, we'd give him the bonus points for most laps led. But unfortunately for him, it's not ye olden days. It is right now with 4 to go.
They don't do laps led points anymore?
Nope, not for one lap led, not for the most.
Oh wow, that's awkward and disappointing. But either way, 5 laps to go in the affair, and it does appear that 24 is going to have it. But Skinner, he's running his preferred line. He's rim riding the fence. That's where he has shown his muster here for a good portion of the evening. And he's going to try to use that all the way, like literally out of the shot, running the Larson lane, the Bell lane, whoever you want to designate as a top line driver. He's going to get by Pitcock, 4 laps to go. Is there enough to muster in that 51 to take a stab and come back for this race win?
But I'll tell you, I think the top line can work in 1 and 2, but I don't know about 3 and 4. I think 3 and 4 is going to be a bottom groove corner. You saw when he tried the rim ride, he did lose just a little bit of time to Benjamin Stevens, and he's going to try it again right here. So it was 0.2 of a second on corner entry.
Kick it up some
and
dust up there.
Scraping the wall, that's going to take it down to 0.4 of a second, almost 5. So that is one of the dangers of running that top line. Of course, you can gain a lot of momentum, or you can lose a lot if you scrape that wall. And he's given it everything he has, knowing that it's only 3 to go. You've got to try something, throw everything but the kitchen sink at it. Well, he tried, but that cost him some time and maybe damaged the truck, because it is still half a second between them, down into 3 and 4. It'll be 2 to go at the stripe. And you can see he has given up on that high line. This time he's going to fall in line down low with everybody else. Doesn't really gain, doesn't really lose. I guess he lost just a little bit, 0.6 of a second. And now 2 to go for Benjamin Stevens.
Got 2 laps to go here. Again, kind of coming out of nowhere. Didn't think he was going to be able to overcome that gap. And this is the beauty of Las Vegas Motor Speedway right here. 3 different drivers, 3 different lanes here. But coming off of the corner, they will all be within a second back. And Nathan Nixon, he has fallen back 10 seconds from these guys, and he was just going up for the lead. So really abusing those tires. Once they go off a cliff, they go off a cliff here. But the 24 has made sure that has not happened, because he is up by 1 second, and the 1 lap to go is in the air. White flag is waving, and Barney will call them down soon. Nathan Nixon again all the way back there, but Ben Stevens coming out of nowhere, coming out of the back straightaway with this in the bag.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to be able to get to him, barring a bobble. He's got nearly a second over everybody else. 0.8 of a second is going to be the gap through 3 and 4. And coming out of the final corner for the 100th time tonight, Benjamin Stevens is going to see that checkered flag, and it will be a series win. I believe his first on the year here at Las Vegas. Michael Skinner going to bring it home at P2. Rodney Pitcock in a hard-fought battle back to the podium. Daniel Dow, who was up front for so long, finishes 4th. Charles Abert going to be 5th. It looks like the rest of the top 10 as they cross the stripe. Jason Krotke, Nathan Nixon, who, man, oh man, he fell off of the pace so hard at the end. Not sure what happened to that truck, but back to 7th he goes. Jeff Ottinger, P8. Evan Ethel back to the top 10 despite his issues. And Blair Holloman in the 10 car is going to bring it home 10th.
Yes, he will indeed. So coming off of the final corner here, it will be that number 24 of Ben Stevens, who will presumably do some sort of post-race festivities here. And he will indeed burn it down here in Sin City. Go and take a drive to the casinos, play the 777 numbers, because he gets himself a win today. So congratulations, of course, do go to Benjamin here on that great effort to come back there and get that gap swallowed up and come for the win. So, well, come down for the win. Don't want to make the... but either way, let's go ahead and give you the final rundown of results here today from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Again, as we've said many a time, Ben Stevens getting the win by a 1 second margin over Michael Skinner, with Rodney Pitcock getting a podium, Daniel Dow in 4th, Charles Abert with 5th, and then we have Jason Kratke in 6th, Nathan Nixon in 7th, Jeff Ottinger, Evan Ethel, and then Blair Holloman rounding out our top 10.
Rest of the field, Rob Yost Jr., Landon Price, Scott Schroeder, Tony Polk, Jackson Stevens, Randy Bousquet, Eddie Sproul. Kyle Westwood brings it home at 6 laps down. Something must have happened to that 47 car that we didn't quite catch. And Robert Basaw Jr. having power outage issues is going to bring it home 19th position.
All right, so we will go in straight to victory circle here and find our race winner here and have a quick word with him if we can. We'll go and see if they are already in the area. They are not, but I can very quickly grab our race winner here. So Ben Stevens, our race winner here on the evening. You were about 2 seconds behind Skinner and Nixon, and you guys were coming, Pitcock working with you, and you took that gap, you swallowed it up, you made your passes, and pulled away, man. How was that truck there on that last stint?
Honestly, starting out on runs, I wasn't necessarily the fastest, but as the run went on, I just trying to save my tires as much as I could, and just it ended up working out in our favor, or in my favor. Big thanks to Rodney for helping out there to get us both up near the front.
Yeah, you guys were definitely tag teaming it there, and we talked to, I believe it was Skinner mid-race, and apparently all you guys were throwing a curveball here, as us were as well, because we were expecting the lights to turn on and to have a ton of grip, but instead we had bright sunshine and 120-degree track temp. Was that more fun for you, what you'd prefer to do, or were you looking forward to running under the lights and having all that grip to play with?
Well, I always like to run under the lights, but that's just fun, running under the lights at a racetrack. I take either one, whether it's daytime or night.
Well, obviously daytime may be biased because you got the win here today, and in 2 weeks' time, because I think everyone has to play with some rain next week, we are going to head to Bristol. So super speedway season is over. We're back to the short track. What's your confidence level heading there?
Well, I just like to take these things one race at a time. Obviously, we got the plate tracks out of the way, and I didn't have the best of runs. I had a better run on the trucks at Daytona than I did any others. So I'm glad those are out of the way, and we got to move on to Vegas, and now we're looking forward to going to Bristol.
All right, man. Well, congrats on a solid win here tonight. We'll let you go celebrate, and we'll catch you soon.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for the broadcast.
No problem. And now second place, we talked to him once, but Andre will talk to him twice here. We'll talk to second place Mike Skinner.
Mr. Skinner, you got a copy?
I do.
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't think you had one single second in this race where you were able to just gather your thoughts and breathe. You were battling with somebody or another all night long, and that stayed true right to the end. You were in a bit of a battle for the lead with, of course, the 24, Benjamin Stevens, and then later Rodney Pitcock. Tell me a little bit about your race. Was it stressful being that close in proximity all night?
The stressful part was the fuel right there at the end. So when I pitted, I was just staying behind Nixon, 75 half throttle, just to make it on fuel. So when Stevens and all of them caught us, I just stayed in line and just tried to make it as long as I could. And then I tried going with about 3 to go to see if I could pass Stevens, and then I just didn't have enough tire to catch him, and then I ended up running out of fuel off of 4, so it was real tight on fuel. So I just wish I could have gone an extra lap the stint previous, and maybe I would have been able to push that last run instead of basically just being handicapped by fuel. So just real gutted with second, but I shouldn't be because it's still second at the end of the day. But I feel like I had a piece to be in the winner's circle, but instead I had to strategy. That's what we talked about at the stage break. It just didn't roll my cards right.
And that is enlightening, because up in the booth, we didn't fully know what the fuel situation was. We didn't know it was quite that tight, and that makes a lot of sense for what we were seeing. I guess some of you drivers there on the track were doing a lot of fuel conservation and kind of focusing on that. But you're exactly right, though. It was a great points day, and I know second is never fun. It's always a little bit disappointing. But big picture, this was a great night for you and your team. What is the mindset going forward?
Expectation is to race for the championship come season end. So expectation is first every race, or if not first, you want to be second or third. But that's the only way you're going to be able to get to the championship.
Yes, sir. You can build the championship on top fives alone as long as you're consistent. So hopefully you keep that momentum up. Thanks for your time, Mike.
Appreciate it. Hope you guys had a good one.
All right, that is going to be second place out of the booth, and I believe Corey has caught up with third place, Rodney Pitcock.
All right, Mr. Pitcock here. You got yourself a third. You and Ben, you started about 2 seconds back after that pit cycle, and you guys tag teamed and got yourself right into the thick of it. Unfortunately for you, he got through and you weren't able to follow him through in battle for the win. But what was it like, man, drafting and working up and ultimately getting to that lead pack? How difficult was that? Mr. Pitcock, you got us? I see you queuing up, but we do not have any audio from you, sir. All right, we'll give you a strike 2. Still see you queuing up, but we just don't hear anything. All right, so we are going to start our outro, but we will give you the opportunity to fix it. If you get your audio working, we will cut our outro and get right back into it. But Andre, a good race here for SSRL. Started off with a bunch of cautions and really spread out into a really good competitive strategy race, just what we're used to seeing in this series.
Yeah, of course, with the fuel limitations that are in place here and that are in place for most of the SSRL leagues, it always promotes really good strategy, and we see a lot of races like this week in and week out, and it puts a really good product on the track, and I always look forward to seeing what happens. So tonight was no different. I think, you know, with this race scheduled under the lights, that would have been one thing, but the fact that there was the error and it was run under the hot beating sun, I think it worked out for the better. I think it made this race even better because not only was there strategy, but these drivers had to wheel those trucks around the track today. Yeah,
they certainly did, and caused it to, maybe it was a proverbial rain delay, and we're racing here on Monday the next day. But make sure you like, subscribe, stay tuned. We will be back, I want to say, for our next broadcast will be Thursday, which is tomorrow. Yeah, it is. For the eCar late model series, they are going to be at Langley. We will have a little bit of time off next week with week 13, so go get your rain testing done and all your fun stuff that's coming with the build, and we will be back for some more racing in about 2 weeks' time here on the channel. Rodney, you got one last chance, my friend. You got us now? Get some audio? Well, we're going to have to call that one a loss, but still congratulations to him for a solid third place finish here on the evening. That's going to be Corey and Andre signing out of the booth. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time.
Are you going to fix my next-gen car while I'm gone? You going to fix my next-gen?